So now we are fastly approaching the end of the year and the holidays are in full swing. And so, what I have noticed recently is that a lot of shopping is all centered around online shopping. And honestly, it is a lot convenient. But I do think some people like to go and look at the items that they purchased, try on things to see if they fit, if they don't fit, or look at it to see if they're going to actually, some people are more like tactile and visual, um, both, where they have to actually be there and see what it is that they're purchasing. And so some people will just go to the place and purchase what it is that they want rather than wait for something and you see a picture of it online and you don't know if you're going to get that item. And I think online shopping is really become really popular. And this year I believe that every year actually it's going to get even more and more popular because there are a lot of stores that are online that you can't just go out and go to the store. You have to order that product online because sometimes there's certain sales, there's certain deals that are only online for like a couple of hours, or you have to wait until that product is shown online before you can purchase it, because you can't actually go to the store to get that special price because it's not like that when you go to the store. They have their own way of selling products versus going online to buy the product. And maybe they say that they're going to mark it down, and then there's some of these sites where you can bid on an item, and if you're good at doing that you can get a product or an item that you've been wanting, like electronics, and you might could get a really good deal on that product that you couldn't if you had went into the actual store and tried to purchase it just you know with cash. So I think over time that a lot of the stores are going to have even more competition with the online shopping because that seems to be the biggest thing. It's convenient, but I even think there's going to be more issues about security, the security of it all, because now you have these people who they know that this is holiday time, so you have to be aware that people are watching if you have packages sent to your house, and they just come along and they you know pick up the packages, and they don't even know what's in there. They don't know if it's something that they could use, or it's something that doesn't even pertain to them, because sometimes people are ordering things that are things you cannot use universally, like somebody's prescription medicine. Maybe it could be medical products that for a person that has an illness, or maybe a person has to use a certain type of product so that they can walk. So a lot of times some of these criminals are not very bright, and what they don't realize, people are really, I think the smart thing to do, they're really trying to invest in putting cameras out by the door so you can actually see who is taking packages off your doorstep. And I think that's a smart way to go, because then it helps you ID the person even if you're not there. And that's for anything, even if it's not like shopping online and waiting for packages to be delivered. But it was, lately there's been a lot of home invasion and people knocking at the doors, and it seems to ramp up around the holidays is when people begin to get desperate. And so as time goes by and things start changing in the world, people begin to get desperate and they start coming to the homes, knocking on doors. Some of them will even go to the far extent to dress up like a city worker, and they're really not a city worker. They're not, some will even pretend like they're a salesperson trying to sell you things, but they're really a burglar. And so we've been getting a lot of this lately. And I think too there's desperate times because the holidays always brings that. There are people that just maybe all year maybe they haven't made enough money to provide enough for their families and themselves, or maybe they just can't afford to do some of the things that they maybe were before able to do. And so now they become really desperate. And then there's people who they just don't care. And they don't care. They just are, that's their thing. They're just criminals. So they jump on opportunities to try to take things from people no matter what. And so I think it's I think it's important to get cameras installed. It may cost money, but it's worth it in the long run. It IDs people. Sometimes you can have hidden cameras installed. There's also, like sensors. If a person actually puts their foot on the doorstep, uh, you know, and they're not somebody that normally is there, maybe it can sense, okay, this is not the person, this is the postal person, this is the FedEx person, but this person, I don't know how they would do that, but maybe it could sense it. Maybe one day they'll come up with something like that. I'm thinking that somebody might be suspicious, and so maybe a little alert would go off or something. So it's just like how like banks now are doing a lot of this. And I guess it's because a lot of times you notice at the end of the year, a lot of stores where people shop, like Targets was one, and I think the more recent one was Forever 21, where there was a breach, and people who were probably doing their Christmas shopping, all of your information of your credit cards and everything has been copied. And I believe that they're going to start getting more and more security in place as time goes by, because it seems like every year the criminals begin to get more and more smarter and try to figure out how to go around these alarm systems and whatnot, because that's what they do. They spend their days trying to discover new methods of how to do harm to people, unsuspecting innocent people who they work hard to. They may not have a whole lot of money. They had just enough money to save for the holidays for their families, and so they're trying to enjoy what little that they do have. And then here you have criminals that come along and take advantage of the situation. And so unfortunately, I know a woman who said that she went shopping, and this was back before they had a lot of the online shopping. And they had the Sears and the J.C. Penney's and all those nice department stores like Macy's, and all that was in full swing, and it was around the holidays. And she said she went driving around to all of the stores, and she put everything in her trunk. And I think she said she bought over $900 worth of items to just celebrate Christmas and give to grandchildren and friends. And she said, unbeknownst to her, she had parked somewhere, and she said these criminals were following her as she was shopping, and they were watching her every move that she was making. And as soon as she parked her car and left it with all of the belongings that she had purchased, they figured out a way to go in the trunk and take all of the gifts that she had spent her hard-earned money for. And she never was able to replace all of those gifts the way she had invested her time in shopping. But she said she learned a lesson that when she went shopping, if she was going to go out and physically go to the stores to go shopping, because we do have people that still will do that, is that if she has like more than 2, 3 packages, she's going to take them to her house and leave them before she goes to any other establishment. And if she does go to an establishment, she's gonna go in there and buy all of the things that she, possibly could buy, and then just that one time, and then take everything home. If she feels she needs to go out and get more, she'll do the same thing and repeat that in those steps in that fashion. But she will never like just shop, put things in the trunk, shop, put things in the trunk, and then park somewhere, and then not knowing that people are watching every move you make. And this happens a lot to women who have pocketbooks, purse books, and things like that. And they're not really thinking, I could be followed, somebody's watching me. And so basically, you have these criminals that'll come out and they're following people around, and they start in the shopping malls and they're watching. And if they think you're alone and by yourself, then that's when they strike, when they see you park your car and they've watched and they know that you're not really paying attention, and you've left all your items in the trunk thinking that it's going to be safe when you get back, and then now all your things are stolen. So you might need to put security um, alarms on your car. That could help somewhat to deter criminals. But like I said, they always have a way of getting around the alarm systems and all of the different things that people have out now. They seem to get smarter and smarter. We even have criminals that are really tech savvy, and they begin to get smarter and smarter around this time of the year to try to figure out how to go around alarm systems and different things to try to steal from people. And this could be anything. It could be, um, you know, posing at the door like they're city workers. They could pose as if they're like a salesperson. Um, some people, they may not have that type of, you know, attitude where they can just pose as a city worker. They don't have that kind of way of talking to people and making people convinced that they're harmless. Some people are a little more savvier than others, criminals rather, at trying to get in people's homes to burglarize them. But I noticed there's a spike in that in the California region, different places that primarily I notice it's been happening to homeowners, are people that live in relatively really well manicured neighborhoods, nice, well kept neighborhoods where a lot of that has been taking place. So, and I I believe that just some people are just, they're out to just take advantage. But then there are people who are doing it because they're desperate, because it's hard around this time of the year for some people who maybe all throughout the year they just have not had the means to provide. And I understand that there should be other ways that they should go about trying to celebrate a holiday, rather than, you know, taking from other people who are also not really, it may seem like they're doing well, but they might have to get up and go to work every day. That might not be as easy as people think it is. Maybe they're enduring something during their workplace. It might not be hard working around the people they're working around. Maybe they don't know if that job is stable. A lot of these jobs are at will. They can hire and fire you at any given moment. So it's not always secure for even people you think that have it all together. One moment you could be working, tomorrow you could be out of work. and in the same boat. So I don't think people take it into consideration. They just sort of are self absorbed into their own lives, and they don't realize that other people struggle the same, maybe are different, but it's still struggling. So it's, I believe that's what's going on. But anyway, that's pretty much has to do with holidays, and I believe cybercrime is ramping up, and so I don't know. It's just one of those things that was on my mind. So until the next time, I'll probably be talking about in the next video. I'll be talking about, yeah, the dreaded word race. So a lot of times people hate talking about that, but I wanted to give my take on it in another fashion that I normally haven't. A lot of times I'll talk about that particular topic in other videos, but it always is has to do with politics, and I believe it really does have to do with politics. You know, but anyway, too, back, I know I went off on a tangent, back to what I was talking about with the crime around the holidays. Too, I believe that I heard something where they're going to start really, really monitoring people, their activity in the stores, to see if the people are stealing, and or they're looking to steal from people, because you got people who they'll even watch you with your basket, what you put in your basket. And I think women have a tendency to put their purse in their basket, or they'll have their wallet or their cell phone and they'll put it in their basket, um, and they assume that nobody's looking, but people are watching. I mean, if you're right there, you're looking at all of your belongings, and people, you can see them and they can see you. It's different. But like if you turn your back, a lot of times the elderly get robbed, because they physically, they're not able to chase somebody down. And I wouldn't think that that would be a smart move, even if you were not an elderly person, to chase someone, because you don't know if they have a knife or a gun, and they'll turn, and then the robbery becomes a homicide, or a killing. But because those things are replaceable, not your life, and that's the way I look at it. um, I just don't think it's worth it. It is a hassle to have to replace IDs and things like that, but it is replaceable, not your life. And so anyway, with that being said, I think people should be full aware that if you're shopping in a store, to don't turn your back, leave your belongings in your basket, don't turn your back, because there have been people here, um, they go in the store, they wait for you to turn your back, and then they take things out of your grocery basket, if it's a purse or a wallet, and they think that credit cards are in there, they can spend those, or money or cash on hand. It's a quick way of robbing people, and so women tend to do that, and elderly people tend to have big bags and purses and things like that, and they'll sit them down somewhere, and then they'll turn their back, not really knowing that somebody's watching them, and they know that they're vulnerable, and they'll snatch something out of their basket, and casually walk out the door. That you got criminals who they won't run, because they know if they run, it looks suspicious. If they casually walk out with your wallet and your billfold, then it doesn't look as suspicious, and it takes time for people to realize, oh, this person just walked out of the store with all these items that don't belong to them, and they're stealing from the customers that are shopping, that are unaware they're being targeted. So this is the kind of stuff that's going on. I don't know if it's probably happening in other places, but it's happening a lot in the city areas where they do the most shopping. And so anyway, Thanks for listening.